What's up, my box truck bosses? It's the business doctor, and welcome back to Box Truck Bank. I'm excited to get back and bring you all some more content. I am on kind of vacation now and celebrating. I call myself the business doctor not just because I see myself as an expert in business, but because I have an earned doctorate of business administration and strategy and innovation. And while I graduated and finished over a year ago, due to COVID, I was just able to celebrate go through my graduation ceremony on this Saturday. So I am an earned doctor of business administration, and I love looking at strategy and seeing how I can help businesses grow and develop. So please feel free to reach out to me at boxtruckbank@gmail.com for any consulting or help you may need. I also do a monthly box truck seminar where I bring people together, sometimes one-on-one, and just answer questions they may have to help further develop and grow their business. But I want to create this video today to help people understand what are some of the options for entering the box truck market. And we'll explore a few different options, but one of those options is actually entering the box truck business. If you have little to no money to start it, this is a great option to help you develop. So that'll, I think, be the last point that I discussed. So how do we get into the box truck game? It can be very difficult and strenuous at times. So one of the first ways is to rent a truck. You can use Ryder, Penske, there are, I think it's called IHC. There's a few different companies you can use to rent trucks from. If you don't have the money, if you don't know if you're going to be able to afford maintenance. However, there are some difficulties that come along with renting a truck. When you go to rent a truck, a lot of these companies will want your company to be in business for at least 2 years, and a lot of them want you to have trucking experience for at least 2 years, whether as an owner or as a driver. Now, I didn't have any trucking experience, but there are ways and strategies you can use to even get around that. But the rental is a plausible option. It can be very stressful though, because when you rent a truck, you are paying for that truck every day, whether you get a load booked or not, whether your driver's on the road or not. And I did do rentals for a while, and then I very quickly got out of rentals because I said it's just too stressful. When you have a rental, they'll charge you for mileage and they're charging you per day. So it really makes it critical. So if a driver misses a load, if a driver wakes up late, you're still paying for that truck per day. So you pay a lot more with the rental than you would for if you bought the truck. But the pro to having a rental is that you don't have to keep up with maintenance. If anything goes wrong, you know, the company's going to fix it, even though you are paying a premium for it. Now, I've heard people ask questions as it relates to rental about insurance. So you can get insurance separately, or you can actually add that truck onto your insurance. But from most research and most of the research I've done, and even when I try to add it, it's going to cost way too much to add that truck on to your insurance. Now, you may get a better deal than me, but through my experience, it's very expensive. So what I probably recommend is that you just get the insurance that the company provides and go ahead and pay for it. They'll also provide a ELD, which is required for your trucks. So this is the easy way. And even if you don't have a business started, there are ways around it if you don't have the 2 years experience. So this is renting from a corporate company. You can also rent from a small business or individual that you may know. This is probably going to be more feasible because you have a little bit more negotiating. I believe when I rented through one of those corporations, I was paying maybe, and I'm going off the top of my head with this information, so if any of you have any more current information, or if I forget something, please feel free to add in the comments. I think I was paying maybe $150 to $200 a day per truck, as well as about 18 to 20 cents per mile that I would pay on each truck. And there was maybe some small fees for insurance that weren't significant but were still additional fees. But if you find an individual maybe who has a truck, or if you find someone who's not running their truck, you have the power to go negotiate your own terms. Like I knew an individual who had negotiated with someone he knew had a truck, and he was that he had unlimited miles. He paid them a flat rate per week and unlimited miles, and that was a great deal because you didn't have to have that stress of making sure that the truck is on the road. Now I had some issues when I rent the truck of them mischarging me. So when you apply with these corporate companies, you have to put a card on file, and they may hold $1,000 or $2,000, but they were making errors, and when they were charging like $2,000-3,000, and I had to fight with them and go back and forth for them to make it right. They did, but they just charged my card at will. So with the rentals, rent through a person is also plausible. Secondly, you can lease a truck. When you lease a truck, sometimes there's a lease to own. You can go through a private dealer, individual you may know, or you can go through a big corporate company. Now with the leases, these are probably in the simplest way to put it, is they're all similar to a rental except they're long term. So these can be a year to two, and sometimes there's an option to buy out that truck at the end of the lease. If you're in a lease, whoever you lease from, they should be the one that's taking care of all the maintenance. It's similar to a rental, except it looks normally long term. I've had individuals I know that have had leases, and when they have the leases, they're responsible for the maintenance. I said, if you're gonna be responsible for the maintenance, you might as well buy the truck, because maintenance has hit me for $6,000-7,000 for one truck just within 1 year. So you want to make sure that you negotiate the best terms. And even at these big companies, it's not likely, but at least try to negotiate. Well, what if I rent 2 trucks, or what if I have it back this day? Try to develop those relationships. You probably won't be able to, but I have heard of some people who are able to negotiate. Now, renting through U-Haul, to my knowledge, U-Haul doesn't have any dock high box trucks, so those U-Hauls will not work. You want to find commercial vehicles to rent. So we know that we can rent, we know that you can lease. The third option is to purchase the truck yourself. If you purchase a truck, you can purchase it cash, or you can finance it. And this is all going to be dependent on your involvement in the company. Are you wanting this to be self-automated, or you want it to be fully involved in the company? What's your goal for the company? If you're gonna be all into it, it's very risky to be running one truck. If that one truck breaks down, you still have to maintain insurance. You have to maintain your subscriptions to everything in order to stay afloat. So that'll be determined on how involved you want to be with the business. So when you purchase, you can purchase from online auctions. You can purchase directly from those same corporate companies that you were looking to rent. You can purchase for them. And you can also purchase from private sellers. So it's good to network. You can't be scared. You can't be afraid to talk to people. When you're at a gas station, ask the trucker, who they're running with. Ask the trucker, do they know where they can get a truck from? For the most part, most truckers have been, they'll give you some information. Some are ready to get back because they're on their 10-hour break and they're ready to get back. But for the most part, as long as you don't take up too much of their time, it's a straightforward question. Start talking to truckers, and this is where I found a lot of information about what they like, what they don't like, and really helped me improve my company. So when you buy from a personal dealer or a corporate company, make sure you have someone look at the truck. Now, this isn't a guarantee that the truck is going to be in good shape, but you'll feel a lot better, because I've had mechanics go out, look at it, it's good to go, and then I'm spending $5,000-10,000 into the truck because the mechanic didn't really look at it. And that was when I bought a truck out of state, so I couldn't physically put my own eyes on it. I had to send a mechanic I found in the other state. And this can be done just by Googling diesel mechanics in that area. But when you purchase, if you're gonna pay cash, it's best that you have probably $5,000 to $10,000 in savings for mechanical repairs, unless you can work on them or if you have a good mechanic. Because if you're only running one truck and that's your sole source, if anything goes wrong, it could be, I've had trucks down for 2 months, so I personally wouldn't risk it with one truck. Now, if you have a full-time job and you're doing it on the side, you can risk it because you can bounce back from it. So when we look at these trucks, there are things you want to make sure there's nothing leaking. Make sure there's no lights on the dash. Inspect the box. Inspect the tires, because these are going to be areas where you can negotiate a lower price. Now, if you're going to look to finance, generally if you look to finance, it's going to be similar to a rental. They're going to want to see 2 years of trucking experience, or they want to see that your business has been in business for 2 years. Which, remember, there are different things you can do to sometimes get around that legally, but there are ways you can get around that. So when you go to finance, I've bought trucks straight out cash, and I've also financed through dealers. When I finance through dealers, they're motivated to sell you the highest truck. The more they make, the better for them. So I always like to get pre-approved from an outside company. Either go to your local bank, credit union, or somewhere you have a relationship. Even if you don't have a relationship with them, just go find a bank in your area and get pre-approved with them, and then go buy it. Because if you get approved through a dealership for $45,000, they're going to try to sell you a car for $45,000. But if you go to your bank and get approved for $45,000, you tell them, I'm looking for a good truck for $20,000 to $30,000. And then that way you can kind of make the decision, and the ball in your court. Because when you get approved through the companies, when you, if you leave and go to another, if you say, oh, this truck didn't work out, you may not be able to finance that truck at another dealership. So you may have to go run your credit again and reapply for it. So I always recommend get approved outside of the dealership or wherever you want to buy, because it makes it easier in the process. So the last option, which is this is if you don't have